My name is Darwin Grigoryan. My family is from Erzurum and Darman, Turkey. They had taken my grandmother away and put her in jail, so the baby died from malnutrition because nobody could breastfeed the baby. And my mother was only 4 years old and my aunt was only 6 years old. So the baby died. Eventually they made it to Greece and to America. My father lived in Darman, Turkey. When they came into my home, my father's home, they shot my father's two brothers. And my father was only 7 years old, they gave him to a cured family. He eventually wound up in an orphanage in Jabil, Lebanon.
My name is George Kamajan. My family is originally from Western Turkey. Two cities, one is Anteb, the other is Şabankarahisar. The Turkish troops started rounding up all men and boys from 14 to 60, allegedly to work in the labor battalions to help Turkey during World War I. But stories had already percolated that these people that went and allegedly volunteered for the labor battalion or were drafted in labor battalions never returned. So my grandfather heard from his neighbor that the Turks were coming. His family, which consists of 20 people, suggested that he hide in a well. And he hid in the family as well. He didn't see anything happen, but he heard the gunshots. And he heard his uncle's voice at the top of the well saying he had no idea where Nerses was. And the next thing he just saw was his uncle's head chopped off and sitting in the water next to him in the well. And he's hid in the well for 3 days with the uncle's head who had helped him survive.
My name is Kazarian. My father went to the Armenian Genocide. He took his education over there. He was okay. So one day before the genocide, one Turk came and he held my grandfather and he tied him to the horse tail and he pulled it on the street. He says to the people, "We're gonna kill you just like this."
My name's David Kazarian and my parents were from Harput. I heard this story from my grandmother. She told me stories about Turks taking somebody's tongue and cutting it off because they spoke Armenian. She told me stories about killing people. She wanted me to run for president of the United States so I could declare war on Turkey. I thought these stories that I heard were too horrific to be true. But the more I hear, they are true. And it's unfortunate that there are some people in this world that are denying that that happened.
My name is Mary Heydaryan. First they took the men, the priests, the teachers, and took them away. And only the women and children were left. Then she said they came one day and said to the women at home, "Out, everybody, out of your home with the children." And she said, with just the clothes on our back, we left our home with our children. And the way she said it, they marched them, deported them. They walked for 40 days, she said, starving, hungry, being killed, raped by the Turkish soldiers on horseback. And this went on day after day, starving. And she said she had an infant in her arms, her baby girl, and her son was a toddler. She held his hand. And she had a brother and cousins with her during the march, and they were little, and they held hands and escaped from the deportation line, and they ran to the hills, and she never saw them again. This went on for days. They were thirsty. She said they were drinking the water from the puddles on the ground.